Hello everyone, my name is Linda and welcome back to my channel. On this channel, I talk about everything from pregnancy to entrepreneurship, and now that we are expecting baby Castro number 1, melding those two worlds together. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about 10 things that you should never say to a woman that is pregnant. Now, before I jump into this, whether you are either someone watching this because you are a pregnant woman and you are looking for something to relate to, then I know that you will get some real giggles out of this. But also, if you are someone watching this in support of someone who is pregnant, then I hope that you will learn just a few really good reasons of not just what not to say, but why you shouldn't say it. And in some of these instances, maybe something you could say instead. So let's jump right into it. So tell me, how's the baby doing? As a pregnant woman, constantly being asked, how is the baby? And never having someone ask how I am doing, honestly becomes so heartbreaking. The tiny little baby growing inside my womb doesn't actually tell me how they're doing. I'm going to assume great. I'm hungry, which means the baby's eating, and there's no adverse side effects leading me to believe that there's anything wrong. So how's the baby doing? Fine, I suppose. But as a pregnant woman, what happened to me? I have talked to a handful of pregnant women or people who have had children in the past, and they say that there is so much of a hard adjustment when you become pregnant because suddenly it's no longer about you. And somehow, all of a sudden, the only thing that matters is the baby. So if you're chatting with a pregnant woman, do this. Ask her how she's doing. We can safely assume that the baby is probably doing just fine. And if they're not, they will bring that up if they choose to share. But being asked, how are you doing, just means so much to know that we are still valued as a person and not just as the carrier of an unborn child. So I've noticed that you've not been putting a whole bunch of cute little bump pictures on your social media. How come? We all want to see the baby. First, I would like to state that nobody has any right to request a picture of your body. Now, if we think of it that way, so often people ask us, oh, can you share a bump pic? Or you're not posting bump pics online. But it would also be weird if someone called you up and said, oh my goodness, can I get a foot picture? Or a picture of your knees? Or any of those other shameful pictures nobody wants to receive on their creeping in on their DMs. So asking for a bump picture is really no different. If a woman wants to share her pregnancy journey by sharing pictures of her growing baby bump, then let her, and be grateful that she wants to share them publicly. But to request them is just not appropriate. Not only that, but there are so many reasons why someone may choose not to share their bump picture. For myself, for example, I have been the same weight and body shape most of my life. And it's literally not changed since I was 21. But suddenly my body is changing. My body feels different. It looks different. And it can really be an adjustment, getting used to this new body and feeling confident enough to show it off. If someone chooses to share a picture of their bump on social media or text you a picture of their bump, just be grateful and tell them how wonderful they look. That's it. Look at this baby bump. Oh, it's so cute. It's really weird to go up to someone and touch their belly. It's really weird to go up to anybody and touch them. Now, If you're someone who is really, really close to the pregnancy person, you may ask permission. You might ask them, is it okay if I touch your belly? But remember this, if they say no, that is their boundary and you get to respect it, whether you like it or not. And if you see a pregnant person just walking in the grocery store, this is a big no-no. Don't even ask to touch their belly. Trust me, it's just weird. Oh my goodness, you are getting so big. It can be very natural to comment on someone's growing baby bump when they are pregnant, especially if it's someone that you don't see on a daily basis and maybe the transformation is really drastic from one time you see them to the next. But please be mindful that when you comment on someone's bump, while you're only thinking about the baby and the bump, they're thinking about all of the incredible and wild and confusing and possibly uncomfortable changes that their bodies are going through. When you say to someone, oh my goodness, you're getting so big, or you must be ready to pop, what they're hearing in their head is, am I too big? Have I gained too much weight? Oh my goodness, am I getting fat? Did they just call me fat? And if someone is really struggling with their body, going through the transformations of pregnancy, those comments, while well-intended and not meant to be hurtful, can hurt a lot more than we may know. Oh my goodness, you have just the teeniest tiny little bump. You're barely showing. And on the flip side, when you say things like, oh my goodness, you're so tiny, you really never know if there are underlying reasons where maybe the mother is worried that they're not putting on enough weight for this pregnancy, or that their baby isn't getting the nourishment that they need. And maybe they've already talked to their doctor and their doctor is expressing concerns at the rate of which their baby is growing. When it comes to a woman's size, it's best to just leave those comments alone. On the flip side, feel free to make comments on how beautiful her skin looks, or how wonderful her hair is, or how she looks so radiant. Well, let me tell you about my experience and my friend's experience. It was literally so traumatic. The other day, I was at a market and chatting with a lady who had a booth selling baby clothes. I don't know how the conversation came up, but she started to tell me the story about a friend of hers who had a miscarriage at 25 weeks. My heart goes out to this friend. That is truly, truly a heartbreaking and traumatic experience. However, as a pregnant woman, there are so many things that we have to worry about or concern ourselves about, think about, fears, that honestly, it doesn't serve any purpose to hear the horror stories of your pregnancy or someone that you know. I believe that the best mental state for someone who is pregnant is to have a aware optimism. Being aware that there can be complications and that those things exist, but to just remain optimistic and hopeful that everything's just going to be okay. There's no point in worrying or stressing about something that isn't your story. And hearing all the crazy, wild, traumatic stories of how people's babies didn't sleep, or pregnancies that didn't come to term, or complications, those things just do not need to be shared. If a pregnant woman chooses to voice any real concerns or complications that her pregnancy has, open up your heart, open up your ears, and be there to listen. Sometimes as a pregnant person, when going through challenging times, it can feel good to share it with someone that you love and trust when you feel ready. So instead of sharing bad possibilities, listen to what might actually be happening for that person. So Have you guys thought about baby names? You know, Bethany is a family name. It's been in our family tree for years, and it would just be so cute for your baby girl. Choosing a baby name is something that really requires so much thought. Like, unless you had to pick a baby name before, you really don't understand how much goes into choosing a name. So, as someone who is expecting a baby, I'm not interested in sharing my baby names with you. I don't want to know who in high school might have been uncool or bullied you, and now that name that I may have chosen and loved for our baby all of a sudden gets a negative spin on it. So it is just best that you not ask for what the names might be, or to not give recommendations. Trust me, there are a million names out there. And the list of possibilities is truly endless. But I can assure you, a person expecting a baby has gone through lists and has gone through their family tree and has gone through a myriad of different name hunting, searching options to find the one that they truly, truly connect with. And just know, when that baby is born, they'll let you know. So, like, do you plan on breastfeeding, or are you gonna formula feed? How someone chooses to feed their baby once they are earthside has unfortunately become a really controversial topic. And there are so many moving parts that go into this. While there might be one mom who really aspires to breastfeed, there are some women who really hoped that they could breastfeed, and when the time came, either it was too much physically, mentally, and emotionally for them, or maybe their body just wasn't able to produce the supply that they needed. On the flip side, there might be some women who know right off the bat that breastfeeding is not their journey, and they're more than happy and content to go the route of formula. Either way, fed is best. And how someone chooses to feed their baby down the road and how that may evolve in time through their postpartum journey is completely up to them. Oftentimes, it's a lot easier to just avoid that conversation than to try and justify your viewpoints about breastfeeding or formula to someone who might have really strong opinions. So just know this. As someone who is carrying a baby, I intend to do what is absolutely best for both myself and my baby when it comes to feeding them. I can assure you, under no circumstances am I going to let my baby starve. So you can just rest assured that my baby will be fed one way or another. That being said, if a mama does choose to share their feeding plans with you, the best thing that you can do is be supportive. Let them know that whatever they choose for them and for baby is amazing, and that you support it no matter what. Yeah, you just enjoy that while you can, because once that baby arrives, you can just kiss all those luxuries goodbye. So often we hear people comment about having children in terms of things like, your house will never be clean again. You will be completely sleep deprived and totally exhausted. Your day-to-day routine is going to change so drastically. All of a sudden, it's not about you anymore. It's all about the baby. But it's also important to remember that for many people who choose to have children, having children is one of the biggest blessings they could have ever asked for. Or maybe they've been trying to have a baby for a really long time. They're not thinking about the lack of sleep or the cleanliness of their house or their social life. They're thinking about the miracle that they get to bring into the world. So while a pregnant person is very well aware that their lives are going to change in a really big way, they're likely not focusing on all of the negative changes that their life is going to experience. because having a baby is amazing. And I've thought about it long and hard before we made the decision to have one. And the things that I am sacrificing, I'm very okay with sacrificing for the sake of this child. Oh my goodness, you look so exhausted. Are you feeling all right? Those pregnancy symptoms, especially during that first trimester, can be really challenging. And someone who is pregnant is already aware that they look exhausted, and they are already aware that they're probably tired, and they might already be aware that they're not looking all sparky and sharp. The last thing that they need is for you to remind them. They have mirrors, trust me. They know how they're looking, they know how they're feeling, and they just don't need you to point it out. So if you see someone who is pregnant, who is maybe not looking all sparkly and dapper, maybe just ask them how they are doing. Let them speak, share their concerns, and if there's anything that they need that you might be able to help them with, they will let you know. Otherwise, tired is just tired. Green because you've had morning sickness, this just is what it is. But if you don't have anything nice to say, then just don't say nothing. Tell them their hair looks fantastic. Tell them you're excited to see them. Tell them you're so grateful that they came out to spend some quality time with you and that you really value the time that you have with them. You know, they say pregnant women really shouldn't be eating that. Are you sure that's good for the baby? Since finding out I was pregnant, I have spent so much time Googling, can I eat this? Things like blue cheese or goat cheese, or what kind of sushi may or may not be okay. Or is it Tylenol or ibuprofen that I can't take? And cold medicine, what do I do to treat a cold if there's nothing I can take? Trust me, if there is something that I am eating or drinking, I've probably already done the research to make sure that it is okay for me and that I am okay with the risks. And while this may seem like something that is controversial and likely not in line with your beliefs or your values, but even if you see someone who is smoking or drinking while they are pregnant, unless you are extremely close to them, even that is not your business. If you are someone who is really close to that person, like I'm talking really close, then you may feel inclined to ask them how you might be able to help them and support them in quitting a habit that maybe they themselves know isn't good, but that they are struggling with. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This video and all of these, what I wish people wouldn't say to me while I was pregnant, really comes from both my own experience as well as hearing the stories and experiences from friends of mine who either are pregnant or who have kids of their own. And if you are pregnant or you've been pregnant in the past, then go down below and share with me some of the craziest things that someone has either said or done to you while you were pregnant. While I've included a list of only 10, I'm sure that there is just a crazy list of things out there. If you enjoyed this video, also go down below and hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be sharing tons of videos documenting this pregnancy, well into parenthood, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of those. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye!